Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, sir, for your leadership in bringing this committee together on this hearing and for your efforts to make my constituents' lives safer for securing the southwest border. I appreciate the witnesses and your expertise being here. I represent the 1st Congressional District of New York. The western edge of my district is about an hour or so east of New York City. And over the past several weeks, my constituents have heard how New York City's sanctuary city policies, coupled, of course, with our country's non-secure and wide-open southwest border, have overwhelmed New York City's resources, previously meant for the homeless, for folks suffering from substance abuse and veterans in need. And given the influx of migrants who are attracted to New York City because of those sanctuary city policies, the city can no longer handle the influx of those migrants. And in response, New York City Mayor Adams is now attempting to sending those same migrants who are attracted by those sanctuary city policies to suburban counties throughout the state who have expressly rejected those sanctuary city policies. And Mr. Wolf, that leads me to my first question, sir. Can you please explain what sort of costs, such as monetary, personnel, public safety, are imposed on states, cities, and counties in dealing with the current crisis at the southwest border?
Sure, there's a variety of different costs. All of the children that we've talked about go into public education systems. English is usually not their first language, and so that's going to strain public education systems in every community that they go into, certainly the ones that they go to in a large amount. Health systems, public safety systems. You now have public safety officers, law enforcement officers having to deal with additional crimes and additional incidents, particularly along the border that I've talked to sheriffs that are overwhelmed because of what's going on. And then we talk about the money that DHS is sending to NGOs, right? Billions of dollars, I'd say millions of dollars being sent to NGOs for a crisis that they created that they're now using taxpayer dollars to send to try to solve the crisis. And so there's a lot of different costs that American taxpayers bear.
What, if anything, sir, can you say about the cost on public safety with a whole slew of unvetted adult migrants that are being shipped to suburban counties? What can you say as far as what public safety costs?
I think there's a variety of different ways. If you talk to law enforcement officers along the border, they're dealing with crimes and they're dealing with incidents that they've never had to deal with before. When you talk of military-aged males, individuals coming over that are a certain age that are not being vetted, right? We talk about 1.5 million gotaways. These are individuals that obviously don't want to interact with law enforcement officers for a very specific reason. They're here to do bad things. Or we talk about 100,000 Afghans that weren't properly vetted. And we've seen, and there's been reports of crimes and incidents that are occurring on that front. So I think there's a variety of different things that you can point to that says if the process was followed correctly and individuals were vetted as they should be, some of this should not have occurred.
$4 billion. New York City has said that it will spend $4 billion next year caring for and housing the illegal alien population that has come to New York City because of its sanctuary city policies. $8 billion. Texas on track to spend more than $8 billion on Operation Lone Star, doing the job that Secretary Mayorkas won't do, securing the southwest border. And another question for you, Mr. Wolf. How do these massive expenditures affect the cities and states who are forced to pay them? And is it fair for New York and Texas law-abiding taxpayers to have to suffer the burden that the open border and the sanctuary city policy?
No, none of this is fair. None of this should be occurring, but this is what happens when the federal government refuses to do its job. We've never seen this before. As I testified, it's in my oral and written, every administration has progressively tried to make improvements along that border. I would argue that some administrations did more than others. But every administration, at least in my lifetime, has done that. This is the first that has not only taken 1 or 2 steps back, we've probably taken 5 to 10 steps backwards. And so that's got to be picked up by someone. And it's different states along the border, and it's different municipalities, cities, and officials that have to pick up the slack. They have to protect their communities.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here today with your expertise and your experience. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.